Today, we're going to review an active shooter incident that happened just a couple days ago at a Catholic church, but it wasn't in the United States. Why do we care? ISIS claimed responsibility for this attack, and it shows exactly how ISIS would do an active shooter in the United States. Our border is wide open, and we have tons of military-age males pouring across the border, and we're able to show that jihadists have come across as well. And with everything going on in the Middle East right now, your church is a target no matter where you are. And we should analyze these incidents so that we can prepare for it in our own churches. Now, before we get started, I want to tell you why you should hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Because when you do, I use that YouTube money and social media money to buy really cool things like this. This is a rifle I'm building for my granddaughter. It's got a little unicorn on it because she likes unicorns, and it's small and it fits her perfectly. Now look, I come from generations of gun owners that have never hurt anybody. I use all of my social media money to buy guns and ammunition because I want these companies to pay for my habit. And it doesn't impact my family budget, so I don't feel guilty for buying these things. So the longer you watch the video, the more you like, subscribe please, and leave comments, the more YouTube has to buy me guns and ammo. And it doesn't impact Christian Warrior Training's budget, doesn't impact my family budget, and little Holly gets cool stuff like this. I'm gonna give you a little tip. Every time I do a video, there's always a gun in the background. I'm displaying that for you guys. Those are the guns that social media bought me, and I wanna share in the joy. Also in the middle of the video, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about how to get this shirt and what it really means. I know some of you are probably looking at it thinking you want something similar. I'll fill you in the middle of all this and let you know what's up. All right, let's get on to this active shooter incident. Now, this occurred a couple days ago in Istanbul, Turkey. ISIS has claimed responsibility, and we know that this is the same type of attack that they're going to do in the United States. It is basic as can be. So you can see in the video, two shooters enter the church from the front doors with the parishioners' backs to the door. The suspects start shooting at one specific person who turns out as a Muslim who was invited to attend the church. After shooting that man, they all fled. I know it's basic. We're going to talk a lot about what this kind of attack means and how to prevent it. And we're going to break it down piece by piece. Now, Turkey's Interior Minister says the two assailants stormed into the Santa Maria Church in the city's Sarir district. President Erdogan, who is not really friendly to us, urged Turkish authorities to do everything they can to catch the killers. I have no hope for that. Now, police blocked the roads coming into the Santa Maria Church, and it wasn't really clear who was behind the attack, except that ISIS did claim responsibility, and they never claim responsibility unless they actually did it, so we can believe them. Now, some news accounts have said that they targeted church and not the victim, and because we weren't there and we haven't interviewed witnesses and stuff, we don't really know, but it sure seems like they targeted that specific person for going into the church. So it seems like they might have targeted him. Just from looking at news reports, it looks like they might target him because he was actually a Muslim going into a Catholic church, which is very egregious for them. Now, there is a media blackout in Istanbul for this incident. They don't want any reporting on it, and they've clamped down on that. So even though they're trying to hunt down the killers, they won't let the public know about it. Go figure. It's very Turkey of them. All right, I just want to take a moment to talk about the Pararescue Foundation. Now, I'm not associated with them. They're not paying me. They don't even know who I am. If you guys are watching, you guys are doing the best job ever. Pararescue men are Air Force special operations that support Navy SEALs, Rangers, and special forces. They're highly trained, and they assist in the recovery of our wounded soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. The Pararescue Foundation exists to support the wounded and killed pararescuemen and their families. They are a good organization. I've been donating money. Like, as an example, I make money from YouTube. I donate a portion of what I make from YouTube to organizations like pararescuefoundation.org. Head on over there, pararescuefoundation.org. Go buy their merch, like this cool shirt, PJ stickers, you name it, tumblers, whatever you want. Or if you have some extra money, give them some extra cash so they can support all the pararescue families and all the hard work. They sacrifice so much for us. We can sacrifice a little bit for them. All right, back to the show. All right, so let's break this down. Looking at the video, they come right through the front door. There is nobody monitoring those front doors. They come in, do the attack. They clearly could have killed more people. And so we're lucky they were just targeting one person. The first thing that you're going to need for something like this is obviously the formation of a dedicated security team. Now, you have to have that security team, and they should be armed, or you at least should have armed people on that security team. Don't pick them because they have a CCW. Pick them because they have competence, maturity, and they know what they're doing. You need to look at strategic positioning of these personnel. Every open door should have an armed person there. So you have a greeter that greets people as they come in. You should also have an armed person there with them. Oftentimes when I stand at one of those positions, I actually act as a greeter. It gives me a chance to, if I see somebody suspicious, I can engage with them looking like a greeter, and then I can get more intelligence based off of that person. You should have surveillance systems and somebody monitoring that surveillance. So in my church, we have surveillance throughout the church, and we do have somebody watching it that can get on the radio and call other people. It works really well, but you got to have good cameras. Look at these cameras here. These aren't very good cameras. You're not going to be able to identify anybody. You need a good 4K system that can give you facial detail looking at the video when you do a close-up, and also give you the ability to determine make and model of vehicles in the parking lot. You need to have an emergency response plan, meaning if you have an active shooter, that everybody participates. The security team goes ahead, initiates their active shooter protocol. The pastor starts giving directions from the pulpit on where people should go. Should they stay? Should they evacuate? Now remember, when you evacuate, many times active shooters have set up other people outside to make kinetic attacks when people leave. So maybe staying inside is the best option, and then locking down the sanctuary and protecting the people inside. You may initiate the people in the parking lot, your parking lot attendants, to direct emergency responders in. And how you do this is you have regular drills and training involving everybody in the church. Now, I can tell you with my church, I'm struggling to get everybody involved from the church. Is it frustrating? Absolutely. But you're going to do what you can do. The same struggles that you have at your church, I have at mine too. But you need the pastor involved, the parking lot team, the greeters, because when there's an active shooter, everybody has a responsibility. Because after the security team kills the active shooters, there is mayhem afterwards. You've got to give first aid, direct emergency responders, unlock doors for emergency responders, start evacuating other people, reuniting children with their parents. There's so much to go on. The only way you're going to do that is with a whole church exercise. You want to make sure you have good communication protocols. So I've written an article before on ChristianWarriorTraining.com. If you want great information to protect your church, head on over to ChristianWarriorTraining.com. Sign up for my newsletter where you will get weekly tips on how to protect your church. They are in-depth articles. I shouldn't really call them tips. And then you'll also get the church crime news every week where you can learn about all the crime that occurred throughout the United States to churches. So in that article about radios, I told you to step away from family radios. They're not appropriate for church security teams, maybe the parking lot and the greeters and stuff like that, but not for you. For you, you should have your own dedicated frequency. I know my pastor applied for and got an FCC permit for our own frequency that works across 4 campuses. And it only cost us like $10 for 5 or 10 years. It worked out great. Go back and look at my article and you can see how we did that. You need to have good community awareness. So you need to get your parishioners together, your congregation together, and you need to explain to them what their role is in an active shooter. As an example, I live in a state where everybody can conceal carry. Everybody, as long as you're a U.S. citizen, you can carry a concealed gun. What happens when there's an active shooter and you have all those concealed carriers in there? You're going to get a very broad response from all these different people. So we actually explain to them what we expect from them, which is, hey, if the guy's right next to you, feel free to take care of business. But if the guy's across the church, let us deal with it. Worry about your family, because it's unrealistic that they're going to take a shot from across the church. And we actually do an exercise where we have people stand up on opposite ends of the church, and then there are people in between. We're like, how are you going to shoot with all this mayhem? You're not. Just worry about your family. We have a security team that is to deal with that, and we're going to deal with it quickly. You want to make sure you're good legally and ethically. So you need to do training, but you also need to do training about what to do after the shooting. So go back and go to my courses.ChristianWarriorTraining.com. I have free courses there. If you want to support what I'm doing with all these free courses, I will always have them for free. I will never charge for this stuff, but it does cost money to upkeep the website and all that stuff. If you want to help support that, then just pay for the yearly subscription for the newsletter, which is going to be free anyways. And you can help support that so other people get free training. But go over to courses.ChristianWarriorTraining.com. I've set it up to where you can take a course on what to do after the shooting. It's a very good video. It'll help you for when that time comes. The other thing you want to do is collaborate with other churches. When you have an incident like this at your church, you're going to need help. There is so much going on. There's more going on than you can handle. And so maybe you can do mutual aid, where now that other churches are going to provide security people to keep the press out, to help reunite children, to come help you in some other way, but you all come together. Now, one thing I want you to remember is that as Christians, we're going to be attacked. We've had a good life in the United States. God has provided us a wonderful country to be in, to be able to worship God without fear of attack. But we know what the Bible says. We know in the end that God wins, which is cool. But we also know that it tells us that we're going to be attacked. And other Christians are being attacked all around the country or all around the world. And it's foolish for us to expect that it is not going to happen here. In the comments, I always see people say, why do you need people with guns in churches? And I would love for you to put your favorite Bible verse about why we can be armed to protect ourselves. But I just want to talk about a couple Bible verses about just Christians being attacked because of their faith. Because sometimes we need that reminder. And because sometimes we need that reminder that the Bible does tell us that it can happen. As an example, in John 15, verses 18 through 20. If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you. Remember what I told you, a servant is no greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you also. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 12. In fact, everyone who wants to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted. In 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 12 through 14, dear friends, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come on you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice inasmuch as you participate in the sufferings of Christ, so that you may be overjoyed when his glory is revealed. If you are insulted because of the name of Christ, you are blessed, for the Spirit of glory and of God rests on you. What else do you know that's in the Bible that talks about what's ahead for us? I'd love to hear it in the comments. I want to talk about this community for just a few seconds. You guys are awesome. Usually YouTube comments are toxic, but not from you guys. I absolutely love you guys. I love what you're doing. I put these videos together when I'm feeling good, and it's usually because I'm motivated after reading your comments. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Holly needs some bullets to shoot with that gun over there. And don't forget to remember your ABCs. Always be caring.